Have you ever poured your heart into a message, typing, erasing, and typing again just to be met with silence? That gut-wrenching feeling is like standing in a crowded room and shouting into a void. The silence seems louder than any rejection. You start to spiral. Did I say something wrong? Am I not enough? Should I try harder? But here's the harsh truth. The more you chase, the further they run. Begging for attention not only confirms their power, but it quietly strips you of your dignity, one message at a time. So why do we do it? Why do we feel this compulsion to fix silence? You're here because you're tired of feeling invisible, and you're done being treated like an afterthought. The problem is that most people approach this situation from a place of desperation. They believe the solution is to explain, justify, or apologize for their presence. But Stoicism teaches us one key principle: control what you can and let go of what you cannot. You can't force someone to reply, but you can control the way you respond to their indifference. Today, I'll show you 6 transformative strategies to flip the script. These are not gimmicks. They are powerful, psychology-backed tools rooted in self-respect and emotional intelligence. When you apply them, you won't just break the silence, you'll make them crave your presence. Each step will challenge you to reclaim your worth, reframe the conversation, and remind them that your attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. Here's my promise: if you master these techniques, you'll stop begging for scraps of attention and start commanding respect without saying a single word of desperation. From silent power plays to irresistible curiosity hooks, this is about showing up as the strongest version of yourself, confident, self-assured, and unforgettable. So, I have a question for you. Are you ready to stop chasing and start attracting? Are you prepared to reclaim your power? If so, keep reading, because what I'm about to share will completely change the way you approach silence forever. Let's begin with the most powerful response of all: saying nothing. 1. The silence sting. Let your absence speak. Have you ever noticed how the loudest statement you can make is silence? When someone ignores you, your instinct might be to do something, send another text, ask for an explanation, or prove you're still worth their attention. But here's the paradox: by chasing after them, you teach them to devalue you even more. Imagine this: you're holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. The same principle applies to attention. The more you cling, the less valuable you appear. So what happens when you stop gripping? What happens when you simply let go? That's where the power lies. When someone ignores you, they expect you to react. They anticipate a follow-up message, an apology, or an emotional outburst. They rely on you to fill the silence, to reassure them of your interest. But when you don't, when you meet their indifference with calm, deliberate silence, it forces them to confront something unexpected: the void you leave behind. Silence is not weakness, it's a calculated act of self-respect. The Stoic philosophers knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When they withdraw, you don't chase, you withdraw too. Calmly and confidently, you remind them that your presence is optional, not guaranteed. Let me ask you something. If someone consistently takes you for granted, are they really worth your energy? If their attention is so easily lost, should you be fighting to win it back? Silence forces them to answer these questions for themselves. You don't argue, you don't explain. You simply disappear, and in that quiet, they're left to wonder, what happened? Why aren't they reaching out? Did I lose them? Here's the psychology behind the strategy. People often don't notice the value of something until it's gone. By removing your presence, your messages, your warmth, and your effort, you create a void they can't ignore. It's like turning off a light in a dark room. The absence of that glow suddenly feels overwhelming. They begin to miss what they once dismissed. But here's where Stoicism comes in again. Silence isn't a trick to manipulate others. It's a reflection of your own boundaries. You're not staying quiet because you want them to chase you. You're staying quiet because you refuse to beg for attention that isn't freely given. Your silence communicates, I respect myself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve me. Think of it this way. If you continue to pour your energy into someone who doesn't value it, you're like a cracked vase trying to hold water. No matter how much you give, it will leak out, leaving you empty. But when you stop pouring, the emptiness becomes undeniable. Sometimes that's the wake-up call they need. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Won't silence make me seem cold or rude? Not at all. Silence is not cruelty, it's clarity. You're not ghosting them or playing games. You're simply choosing to match their energy. If they've withdrawn, you step back too. If they don't respond, you stop asking questions. Your action, or lack thereof, reflects their behavior back to them like a mirror. Here's where it gets powerful. Over time, they'll start to notice the quiet. They'll realize you haven't double texted, you haven't checked in, and you haven't begged for answers. That realization will sting far more than any word you could say. They'll begin to question themselves. Did I mess up? Why aren't they reaching out? What if I lost them? The beauty of the silent sting is that it protects your dignity. You're not lowering yourself to chase someone who isn't meeting you halfway. Instead, you're showing them, without words, that your presence is a privilege. That kind of quiet confidence is magnetic. But here's the key to making this work. You must be willing to accept their silence as an answer. If they don't notice your absence, or if they don't return, that's your cue to move on. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot control. You cannot force someone to see your value, but you can choose to honor yourself by walking away. Let me leave you with this thought. What's more powerful than begging for attention, walking away, and letting your absence remind them of your worth? Silence is not empty, it's full of answers. It forces them to confront the reality of their actions and the consequences of taking you for granted. So I challenge you. The next time someone ignores you, resist the urge to chase. Don't explain, don't justify, and don't beg. Let the silence speak for you, because sometimes the strongest statement you can make is simply not saying anything at all. If this resonates with you, take a moment to comment below. Silence speaks volumes. Let's reclaim our power together and remind the world that our worth doesn't depend on someone else's reply. 2. The breadcrumb strategy. Spark curiosity, not desperation. Picture this. You send a heartfelt message, thoughtful, intentional, but instead of getting a reply, you get silence again. Your instinct might scream at you to fix it, to send another message, to explain yourself, or to prove your worth. But stop and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to chase? What does doubling down on effort accomplish when someone has already chosen not to respond? The truth is, desperation is unattractive. It pushes people further away. When you over-explain, over-give, or send long emotional paragraphs, it doesn't inspire connection. It makes you look predictable, needy, and easy to ignore. Stoicism teaches us to act with restraint and purpose. When you face silence, you don't respond with chaos. You respond with calm precision. Here's where the breadcrumb strategy comes in. It's subtle, intentional, and incredibly effective. Instead of throwing everything you feel into their inbox, you drop just enough to spark their curiosity. A breadcrumb doesn't demand attention, it invites it. It leaves them wondering, lingers in their mind, and most importantly, flips the power dynamic. Let me ask you this. Have you ever read a book and had to turn the next page because you couldn't stand not knowing what happened next? That's the psychological pull you're creating when you use breadcrumbs in your messages. Imagine this scenario. Instead of sending a desperate follow-up like, "Hey, why haven't you responded?" you write, "You just crossed my mind. Interesting timing." Pause for a moment. What does that message do? It's open-ended, vague, and impossible for them to ignore without at least wondering, why was the timing interesting? What made them think of me? Suddenly, you've shifted the energy. You're not chasing, they're curious. Here's another example. "I saw something that reminded me of you, but it's hard to explain." What does this do? It plants a seed in their mind. They'll wonder, what did they see? Why did it remind them of me? Was it good? Was it bad? Their curiosity takes over, and now they're the ones thinking about you, not the other way around. Breadcrumbs work because they tap into a fundamental part of human nature: the need for closure. When someone leaves an unfinished sentence, a vague message, or an unanswered hint, our minds naturally want to fill in the blanks. That's how we're wired. We crave resolution, and when you drop breadcrumbs, you're creating a small but irresistible gap that pulls them back toward you. Think about this line: "I just realized something about you today." What does it mean? Is it a compliment, a funny observation, a revelation? It's short, simple, and leaves everything unsaid. That's what makes it powerful. You're not demanding their attention, you're earning it by leaving a question in their mind. But here's the key: breadcrumbs only work if you use restraint. You must resist the urge to explain yourself. If they respond with, "What did you realize?" or "What reminded you of me?" then, and only then, can you give them a carefully chosen answer. But even that answer should be brief, light, and intriguing. You're not throwing all your emotions at them. You're planting seeds and letting them grow. Stoicism teaches us that control begins with ourselves. You cannot control how someone will react to your messages, but you can control what you send. Breadcrumbs show confidence, restraint, and emotional intelligence. They communicate that you are someone worth being curious about. You're not pleading for attention. You're creating intrigue. Let me give you another image to help you understand this strategy. Think of fishing. If you throw a net into the water and drag it aggressively, the fish will scatter. But if you drop a single well-placed hook, the fish come to you willingly. That's the essence of breadcrumbing. It's subtle, patient, and irresistible. Now I want to address something important. Breadcrumbing isn't manipulation. It's not about playing games or tricking someone into responding. It's about creating genuine intrigue and re-establishing the respect they may have forgotten to give you. When you send a breadcrumb message, you're saying, "I'm still here, but I'm not chasing you. My presence is worth wondering about." This approach doesn't just shift their perception, it shifts yours too. It reminds you that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your words, when used wisely, are enough, and your silence, when paired with the right message, can speak louder than any follow-up ever could. I want you to try something today. The next time someone ignores you, stop yourself from sending that long, emotional message. Instead, drop a breadcrumb. Keep it short, light, and intriguing. Leave them wondering and then wait. If they don't respond, you haven't lost anything. You've just reinforced your self-worth. If they do respond, you'll know it's because you earned their curiosity, not because you begged for their attention. If this strategy resonates with you, I want you to take action right now. Like this video and drop a comment below with the words "Number 1." I want to know if you're ready to stop chasing and start using your words with precision and power. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next strategies that will completely transform the way you approach connection. This is just the beginning. Remember this: when you know your worth, you don't have to beg for attention. You become someone others can't ignore. 3. Pull the rug. Be unpredictable. Let me ask you something. What happens when you've been ignored long enough? Do you start to sound predictable? Do you find yourself sending the same follow-ups, the same, "Hey, did you see my message?" over and over? Here's the reality: predictability is boring. It gives the other person no reason to engage, no spark to reignite their interest in you. Think about it. Why do we love plot twists in movies? Why do we lean forward when something unexpected happens? Because unpredictability shakes us awake, grabs our attention, pulls us out of autopilot, and forces us to focus. The same principle applies when someone ignores you. If they've decided they already know what you'll say next, you need to flip the script. You need to pull the rug. Pulling the rug isn't about being rude or manipulative. It's about sending messages that are bold, surprising, and designed to make them stop and think, "Wait, what?" When someone ignores you, you're no longer playing on their terms. You're reintroducing mystery. Let's look at this message. You know what? Never mind. It's simple, just 4 words, but it works like magic. Why? Because it disrupts their expectations. Suddenly they're not thinking about why they didn't reply. They're wondering, what did I miss? What were they going to say? You flipped the dynamic, and now they're the ones curious about your words, not you. Or try this: "Wow, didn't expect that from you." This message is vague but powerful. It doesn't accuse or explain, but it plants a seed of doubt. They'll wonder, what did they expect? Did I do something wrong? What are they talking about? You've created a question that only you can answer. And here's the best part. The more curious they become, the more they'll feel compelled to respond. Another effective example. Guess I'll have to find someone else for this idea, too bad. You would have been perfect. What makes this so powerful? It taps into their sense of exclusivity and missed opportunity. People hate feeling like they're being left out or replaced. This message is light, even playful, but it delivers a subtle sting that jolts them out of complacency. Suddenly, they're not ignoring you anymore. They're wondering why they were left behind. This approach is not about begging or pleading. It's about confidence. You're showing them that you're unpredictable, that you're not waiting on their response to validate your worth. That kind of energy makes people sit up and pay attention. But here's the secret: timing matters. Don't send these messages immediately after being ignored. Let the silence sit for a while. Let them notice your absence. Then, when you send a bold, unexpected message, it lands with even greater impact. It shakes them awake, forcing them to reconsider their assumptions about you. Stoicism teaches us the value of being deliberate in our actions. You don't react emotionally. You don't send messages out of frustration or insecurity. You take your time. You act with precision. And when you pull the rug, it's not out of anger. It's a reminder that you're not someone they can take for granted. Here's the beauty of this strategy. It forces them to see you differently. Maybe they thought you'd always be there, always chasing, always predictable. But when you send a message that flips their expectations, you show them something new. You show them strength. You show them that you're not afraid to walk away from someone who treats you like an option. Think of it like this. Imagine someone watching a movie where they already know every twist, every scene, every ending. They lose interest, right? But what happens when the story suddenly surprises them? They lean in, they pay attention, they start to wonder what happens next. That's the effect you're creating when you pull the rug. And this isn't about being petty. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I'm not here to chase you. I'm here to remind you that I'm someone worth noticing. Now I want to challenge you. The next time someone ignores you, don't send the predictable follow-up. Instead, choose one of these. You know what? Never mind. Wow, didn't expect that from you. Or, guess I'll have to find someone else for this idea. Keep it short, keep it vague, and most importantly, don't explain yourself. Let them wonder. Let their curiosity bring them back to you. At this point, you might be asking, what if they still don't reply? That's where Stoicism steps in. You don't let it shake you. You don't let someone else's indifference define your worth. You've shown confidence, you've shown unpredictability, and that's enough. You're not here to beg for attention. You're here to act in alignment with your self-respect. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop being predictable? Are you ready to flip the script and show them you're not someone they can ignore? If this message resonates with you, I want you to take action. Like this video and drop a comment below with the words number 1. Let me know you're ready to embrace unpredictability and reclaim your power. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you can keep learning these powerful tools to shift the dynamic in your favor. Remember this, the most magnetic people are the ones you can't quite figure out. They're confident, they're unexpected, and when you start pulling the rug, that's exactly who you become. Someone they can't ignore, someone they can't stop thinking about. And this is just the beginning. There's more to come, so don't go anywhere. 4. The hook they can't shake. Get stuck in their mind. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? You hear it once, maybe just a few notes, and suddenly it's replaying over and over, no matter how hard you try to ignore it. That's the power of a hook. It's simple, memorable, and impossible to shake off. Now imagine this. What if your words could have the same effect? What if a single message could linger in their mind, replaying long after they've read it? When someone ignores you, it's not always because they're busy or uninterested. Sometimes it's because your message didn't leave a mark. It didn't spark their curiosity, make them think, or stand out from the noise. That's where the hook comes in. A message so thought-provoking, so intriguing, that they can't help but respond. But let's get one thing straight. This is not about being needy or demanding attention. It's about speaking with intent. Stoicism teaches us to act deliberately and avoid emotional overreactions. Instead of chasing someone with bland follow-ups or desperate pleas, you use precise, carefully chosen words to make them stop, think, and feel compelled to reply. Let me show you how it works. Imagine sending this message. I just realized something about you, and it's kind of blowing my mind. Read that again. What does it do? It plants a seed. It's vague, yet personal. It's curious, yet confident. It makes them wonder, what did they realize? Is it good? Is it bad? What are they thinking about me? They won't be able to shake it off because their brain needs closure. Or try this one. I can't believe I never noticed this about you before. This line is irresistible because it triggers the same curiosity. They'll think, what did they notice? Is it something important? Why didn't I see this coming? It's simple yet loaded with emotional weight. Here's another example. Have you ever thought about how you do that thing you're so good at? This message does two things at once. It sparks curiosity and subtly compliments them. It makes them reflect on their strength, their uniqueness, and how you notice something special about them. It pulls their attention back to you in a way that feels thoughtful, not desperate. The beauty of the hook is that it doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. It's not a question of whether they'll respond, it's a question of how long they'll wait before they finally ask, "What do you mean? Tell me more." So why does this work so well? Because people are naturally wired to seek answers. When you leave something unsaid, When you create a mental gap, they can't help but try to fill it. It's like starting a story and leaving it unfinished. Their mind replays it, trying to find the missing pieces. Here's where Stoicism comes in again. Your words are powerful, but only when used with restraint. A great hook is short and impactful. If you explain too much, you lose the intrigue. If you overdo it, you lose your sense of confidence. The key is to say just enough to spark curiosity and leave the rest to their imagination. Let's go deeper. Imagine tying your hook to something you know they care about. For example, if they're passionate about art, you could say, "I just saw a painting that reminded me of something you once said. It's crazy how accurate you were." This message works on multiple levels. It connects to their interests, it complements them subtly, and it creates an unfinished thought they need to resolve. They'll wonder, "What painting? What did I say? How was I accurate?" Suddenly, your message isn't just a text, it's a puzzle. And people love solving puzzles, especially when they're about themselves. But here's the secret to mastering the hook. You must deliver it with confidence. Confidence means you're not chasing their reply or waiting anxiously. You drop the hook and let it work its magic. Whether they respond immediately or hours later, you know that your words are lingering in their mind, like a song they can't stop humming. Let me ask you this. Would you rather send a desperate message that gets ignored, or a single line that leaves them thinking about you for hours? The choice is clear. When you use the hook, you're not just sending a message, you're creating an impact. You're showing that you're thoughtful, intriguing, and worth their attention. And here's the most powerful part. The hook works even when you're silent. Once you plant the thought in their mind, it stays there. You don't have to do anything else. You've already made your presence felt. That's the power of deliberate, well-crafted words. So I want you to try this today. Instead of sending another predictable message, craft a hook. Keep it short, personal, and curious. Let it hang in the air and do the work for you. And then wait. Don't explain. Don't chase. Trust that your words are enough. And if you're still unsure, I'll remind you of this. People remember how you make them feel. A good hook makes them feel intrigued, special, and curious. It shifts the energy back to you, leaving them wondering why they ever let you slip into the background. If this strategy resonates with you, I want you to take action. Like this video and comment #1 below if you're ready to start crafting messages they can't ignore. I want to know that you're committed to leveling up your communication and owning the conversation. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next part of this guide. There's more to come, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Because here's the truth. When you master the art of the hook, you'll never have to beg for attention again. Your words will linger, your presence will stand out, and they'll be the ones chasing you. It's time to stop feeling invisible and start being unforgettable. 5. Play it cool. Confidence over desperation. Let me ask you something. How often do you overthink when someone ignores you? How often do you feel the urge to jump in, explain yourself, or send one more message to get their attention? The truth is, desperation whispers louder than you think. The moment you chase, you hand over your power. You're no longer the confident, grounded version of yourself. You're the person waiting anxiously for scraps of attention. But what if, instead of reacting emotionally, you could play it cool and shift the energy completely? Playing it cool is not about pretending you don't care. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need anyone else to validate it. Stoicism teaches us this fundamental truth. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control your response. And when you respond with calm, collected confidence instead of panic, you send a clear message. I value myself enough not to beg for attention. Imagine this. Someone has ignored your message for hours, maybe even days. Instead of sending a follow-up like, "Hey, did you see my message?" Or worse, "Are you mad at me?" you send something completely unexpected. "I figured you'd be busy, so I'll catch up with you later." What happens here? You're acknowledging the situation without sounding bitter or emotional. You're calm, unbothered, and self-assured. You're signaling that their silence hasn't shaken you. In fact, you've moved on with your day. And guess what? That confidence is magnetic. It makes them wonder, why aren't they chasing me? Why are they so calm about this? Did I miss something? Here's another line that works beautifully. "I had something interesting to tell you, but it can wait." This isn't passive-aggressive, it's confidence in its purest form. You're subtly communicating that you have something valuable to share, but you're in no rush to beg for their time. You've turned the tables. Now they're the ones left curious. What did they want to tell me? Why doesn't it seem urgent? Suddenly, you're the one in control of the conversation. Let me pause here and ask, how different would your life feel if you stopped chasing? How would it feel to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth? When you play it cool, you step into that version of yourself, the version that doesn't seek approval or validation, the version that says, "I'm enough whether you see it or not." The truth is, people are drawn to those who are emotionally steady. Desperation repels, confidence attracts. When you can respond to silence with calm detachment instead of panic, it sends a message far more powerful than words. It tells them, "I don't need to prove anything to you. I'm comfortable with who I am." Now let's talk about mirroring. Playing it cool also means matching their energy without resentment. If they take hours to reply, you don't need to respond within seconds. You don't have to be glued to your phone, waiting for their attention. Give yourself permission to delay your response, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. If they're taking their time, so can you. Here's something to remember. Being too available sends the wrong message. It tells people that you don't value your own time, so why should they? When you play it cool, you show them that your life is full. You have things to do, places to be, and you're not sitting around waiting for their response. That kind of energy is attractive because it's rare. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at an auction. The more desperate someone appears to win an item, the higher the price becomes. But when you act calm, composed and slightly detached, you communicate value without saying a word. You don't beg to be chosen because you know your worth. You let your calm confidence speak for itself. Now I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you lowered your standards to keep someone's attention? How often have you sent messages out of fear of losing someone who's already pulling away? Here's the hard truth. You cannot beg someone into valuing you. The more you chase, the more you confirm their indifference. But when you play it cool, you communicate something much stronger. I'm not here to convince you of my worth. That's your loss. Realize this isn't about being cold or aloof. It's about showing emotional maturity and strength. You don't have to make someone feel bad for ignoring you. You simply let your calm, confident response show that their silence doesn't control you. That's the kind of energy that makes people sit up and take notice. Here's something to try. The next time someone ignores you, instead of overthinking or overreacting, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that their silence doesn't define you. Then send a message like, "No worries, I'll catch up with you another time." Short, light, confident. You're not explaining yourself and you're not seeking their approval. You're walking away with grace, and that speaks volumes. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop reacting emotionally and start responding with confidence? Are you ready to stop proving your worth and start showing it? If this message resonates with you, I want you to take action. Like this video and drop a comment below with the words "Number 1." If you're ready to embrace confidence and calm as your new power moves, and if you haven't already, Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next strategies that will completely change the way you approach conversations. Because here's the truth. Playing it cool doesn't mean you care less. It means you value yourself more. And when you value yourself, others can't help but value you too. Keep your energy steady, your words calm, and your worth non-negotiable. You'll stop being ignored, not because you demanded attention, but because your confidence made you impossible to overlook. Stay with me. We're not done yet. The next step is even more powerful, and trust me, you'll want to hear it. 6. The spark of nostalgia. Reignite the connection. Have you ever felt a wave of warmth when an old song plays, a scent drifts through the air, or you stumble across a photo from years ago? In an instant, you're transported back to a time when things felt simpler, closer, or more alive. That's the power of nostalgia. It bypasses logic and hits straight at the heart, pulling up emotions you didn't even know were still there. Now imagine using that same power to reignite a connection with someone who's grown distant. When someone ignores you, it's easy to feel invisible, like the bond you once shared has evaporated into thin air. You start to believe that they don't remember you, don't care, or worse, that you don't matter. But here's the truth. People don't forget connections. They forget the feeling of them. Nostalgia reawakens that feeling and brings it flooding back. It reminds them of who you were to them and what you meant. Instead of sending messages that demand attention, send messages that remind them of what you've shared. This isn't begging, it's not chasing. It's gently bringing them back to a space where you mattered, a memory where the connection was real and undeniable. Nostalgia doesn't confront, it invites. It's like saying, "Do you remember what we had?" "Because I do." Imagine this. Instead of texting, "Why haven't you replied?" or "Is everything okay?" you send something like, "I just remembered that time we got completely lost and found that tiny cafe. Still one of the best days." What does this message do? It pulls them back to that moment. Maybe they can still taste the coffee, hear the laughter, or feel the warmth of that shared experience. Nostalgia paints the picture for them, leaving no room for defensiveness or discomfort. It doesn't ask for anything. It simply gives them the gift of remembering you, your connection, and a version of themselves that existed when things were better. Here's another example. I saw something today that reminded me of you. It took me back to that hilarious thing you said at that party. Still makes me laugh. Why does this work? Because it's personal, it's specific, and it ties your message to a shared moment that meant something. No matter how small, it reminds them that there was joy between you, that there were moments they enjoyed simply being in your presence. Let me ask you, when was the last time you smiled at a memory? When was the last time someone brought up something about you that made you feel seen, remembered, and valued? That's what nostalgia does. It doesn't push, it pulls. It reopens the door to connection in the softest, most human way. Now you might be thinking, what if they don't respond? What if the memory doesn't matter to them? That's where stoicism steps in. When you send a nostalgic message, you're not trying to control their response. You're not forcing them to engage. You're simply offering a moment of connection and leaving it up to them. You're saying, I remember this. It mattered to me. If it matters to them too, they'll respond. If it doesn't, you can walk away knowing that you stayed true to yourself, calm, confident, and kind. Here's something important to keep in mind. Nostalgia works because it connects people to emotions they may have buried or forgotten. Maybe they've been distant because life got in the way. Maybe they've been ignoring you because they thought you no longer mattered. But when you remind them of a shared moment, you cut through all of that noise. You don't argue or demand. You bring back a memory they can't ignore. Let's go a little deeper. When you reference a shared experience, You're not just reminding them of a moment. You're reminding them of a feeling. Maybe it was joy, laughter, excitement, or comfort. Whatever it was, nostalgia reawakens it, bringing them back to you in a way that feels natural, not forced. Imagine sending this. I just remembered how calm you stayed during that chaos at work. I always admired that about you. This isn't just nostalgia, it's appreciation. You're reminding them of their strengths, of a time when they felt seen and valued through your eyes. People often forget their best qualities until someone brings them back to life. Nostalgia doesn't just remind them of you, it reminds them of a version of themselves they enjoyed being, and that's powerful. Now, I want to be clear about one thing. This isn't about manipulating someone's emotions. Stoicism teaches us to act with integrity, to speak with purpose, and to let go of what we can't control. Sending a nostalgic message is not about tricking them into caring. It's about offering a genuine reminder of what once existed. It's about saying, "This was real, I haven't forgotten. Maybe you haven't either." So I challenge you, the next time you feel tempted to send a needy or defensive message, pause. Think back to a moment that connected you to that person, something funny, meaningful, or heartfelt. Craft a short, thoughtful message that invites them to remember too. Keep it light, keep it genuine, and most importantly, don't attach your worth to their response. Let me ask you, how many moments of connection have you already forgotten? How many times has someone remembered something about you and made you feel special because of it? Nostalgia is a gift. When you give it, you're showing that you're thoughtful, confident, and grounded in who you are. You don't need to beg for their attention because you know the connection already existed. You're simply holding up a mirror and saying, "Do you remember?" If this resonates with you, I want you to take action right now. Like this video and drop a comment below with the words number 1. I want to know you're ready to stop chasing and start creating real human moments of connection. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next strategies that will completely transform the way you approach conversations in silence. Because here's the truth, nostalgia is timeless. It reminds people of the best in you and the best in themselves. When you learn to spark it with confidence, you'll no longer feel invisible. You'll remind them why you were unforgettable to begin with. We've come a long way together. 6 powerful strategies to ensure you're never ignored again. We've learned how silence can speak louder than words, how subtlety can spark curiosity, and how calm confidence can shift the entire dynamic. Each step has brought you closer to reclaiming your power and redefining how you approach connection. Let me remind you of this. You don't have to beg for attention to prove your worth. You are not here to chase after people who have forgotten your value. You are here to show up with self-assurance, clarity, and strength. When someone ignores you, you now have a choice. You can react with desperation, or you can respond with poise. You can let their silence shake you, or you can use it to reflect your value back to them. You can walk away knowing that you held your ground, acted deliberately, and stayed true to yourself, because that's what self-respect looks like. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control other people's actions, only our responses. And these strategies aren't about forcing someone to care. They're about showing up as someone who's impossible to overlook. By dropping breadcrumbs that intrigue, pulling the rug to surprise, sparking nostalgia to reconnect, and playing it cool with unshakable confidence, you're making a powerful statement. I know my worth, and I won't settle for less. Let me leave you with this thought. The people who are worth your time and energy will notice your absence. They will feel the void when you stop chasing. And those who don't? They were never deserving of your presence in the first place. So I ask you one final time, are you ready to stop begging for attention and start commanding it? Are you ready to step into the version of yourself who doesn't need to chase because they know they are enough? If so, take action right now. Like this video and drop a comment below with the words, "Number 1. I want to see you claim your power today and say goodbye to the days of overthinking and over-explaining. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tools to master connection, confidence, and personal growth. Remember, your presence is not a given, it's a privilege. When you know that, when you truly believe it, others can't help but believe it too. Stop chasing, start attracting, and watch as the right people lean in to meet you where you stand. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I believe in you. I believe in the power of your words, your actions, and your presence. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself. You've got this. Let's keep growing together. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. As you continue to apply these strategies, remember that each interaction is an opportunity to affirm your worth and foster genuine connections. Take the time to reflect on your progress and celebrate the small victories. Building confidence and reclaiming your power is a journey, and you're not alone in this process. Stay open to learning and adapting as you navigate your relationships. The more you practice these techniques, the more natural they will become. You'll find that your ability to engage meaningfully with others will flourish, and you'll attract the right people who appreciate you for who you are. So keep that momentum going. Engage with the community, share your experiences, and support each other in this journey of growth and empowerment. Together, we can redefine how we connect and communicate, ensuring that our interactions are rooted in respect and self-worth. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, you have the power to shape your experiences and cultivate connections that uplift and inspire you. Until next time, stay strong, stay confident, and keep shining your light. You've got this.